Welcome to the Burgundy and Gold Knuckleheads podcast. As always, through thick and thin, my main man Reggie. What's going on today, Reg?
Hey, what's going on, Ken? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. We wanted to jump on. It's been a couple days since the Commanders went to Lambeau Field and played the Packers. And I know
No,
a
hold on, hold
lot
on,
of
hold
the
on, hold on, hold on. Correction.
what I say.
The Commanders went to Lambeau Field.
Isn't that what I said?
You did, but they didn't play. They they
They
they was
they
in,
went to, yeah.
yeah, they were in Lambeau, but they
Yes,
Green Bay
yes,
was
yes.
at Lambeau Field, but I'm not so sure they played though.
Yeah. And sometimes doing a podcast immediately after is a good thing. You get all the emotions, good or bad, whatever's going on. In this game, it may have worked out well to kind of sit back and analyze a little bit. I mean, it's only week 2. Doesn't mean it's not frustrating. I mean, last year we lost a couple ugly games where we didn't know the Commanders, that they barely showed up, and they made it to the NFC Championship game. So, but anyway, what are some of the thoughts that were going through your mind either during the game or after the game on Thursday night?
Well, to your point, right? I mean, during and immediately after the game, you got some raw emotions, and having raw emotions and being a little bit passionate about it doesn't mean you're crashing out. It's just that this just raw emotion, and in this case, it was frustration. Having a few days to get away from it. The emotion isn't quite there, but my feelings about what I saw has not changed. Um, for starters, people talked about how it's tough on a Thursday night. Well, Green Bay had played on Sunday just as we did, and they played on Thursday night. You can make the argument that we had a travel day, but we went from DC to Wisconsin. It's not like we went from DC to LA.
Right.
They practiced that day, so it's not like we were short one practice. They practiced on Wednesday before they got on a plane and headed to Wisconsin, and I'm sure the Green Bay Packers practiced on Wednesday.
Right.
People talk about, I'm going to use the analogy when we talk about the weather being a factor on the field, and people say, well, it was the same for both teams. Well, it was the same for both teams. It was a short week for both teams, but one team looked like they didn't show up, and the other team was just prepared. So there was a little bit of disappointment in the way we essentially, and I'm going to use air quotes here, showed up, because I don't feel like we showed up.
Right.
Green Bay's a good team, so you have to hand it to them that they were prepared and they executed. We talked about this being a tougher schedule for Washington, right? You make it to the NFC Championship game, you're going to get a tougher schedule. And for the crowd that wants to talk about, well, this is one game, and that is true. But we're not going to have that lull in the schedule like we kind of had last year. Green Bay is the type of team that we're going to play almost throughout this entire season.
Right.
So you have to be ready every single week. And I understand that Green Bay had their game plan and they executed it. I didn't understand, though, it's like we never made an adjustment. When they were able to get pressure on Jake Daniels with a 4-man rush, we never made the adjustment. And don't tell me it's just because of John Bates. It helps. But come on, man, you got to scheme. So we had nothing to offset blitzes, right? Jake Daniel was pressured on 40% of his drop back passes. It was basically what we saw in week 1 when we played the Giants, our defense against Russell Wilson. So Jake Daniels didn't have a lot of time,
Right.
and we made no adjustment defensively. I have no idea what Joe Witt was calling, but it looked as if we played zone the entire game, and Green Bay just basically called zone beaters because we apparently kept forgetting about the tight end. Seemed like almost every play, someone was wide open for Jordan Love to complete the pass to. But again, where was the adjustment?
Right.
I didn't seem to see the adjustment. And it's like we had a game plan. Washington had a game plan. They stuck with it no matter what happened, and it just wasn't working. So my level of frustration was just, I have no idea what was going on, what was happening with the team. And boy, we looked bad. We looked bad. And I recognize this one game, but it was also week 2 for Green Bay, right? So Green Bay is 2-0, and they beat 2 playoff teams last year.
Yeah.
We're 1-1, and the only team we won was the team that picked, I think, what, 5th or 6th in the draft this past season.
Yeah.
So yeah. Do I think they can get it together? I do. Last year is an indicator of us doing that, starting out slow and getting things together. But you got to get it together sooner than later, guys, because simply, again, the schedule is not going to let up.
Yeah. I don't disagree with anything there. This is the quintessential team loss, right?
100%.
Um, their their offensive line kept Jordan Love from having any consistent serious pressure, right? Even when we threw a blitz or two, they protected him. Last week we were able to get after Russell Wilson. This week against Green Bay, we weren't. From a secondary perspective, Tucker Kraft, he may be going to the Pro Bowl just off of this game. He had 6 catches, a career year for him. This is his 3rd year, career game, 6 catches, 124 yards. He's never broken 100 yards. And every single one of his catches, there was nobody within arm's reach. And I'm being kind with arm's reach, I don't know what was going on with that. That's talking from a defense, from an offensive perspective. Our offensive line, it wasn't just Micah, even though Micah was, man, he was he was on a mission, right? And he was proving his worth off of that one game without a doubt. But even everybody else, there was constant pressure throughout that. Our wide receivers couldn't get open. I mean, nobody was ever open. The passes that were caught, somebody was right on them the entire time. Jaden Daniels was off. Now, granted,
Definitely has some accuracy issues.
Yeah, his clock was running a little bit faster against Green Bay because he didn't have the time and just things weren't going well. They put up a good plan against him. And then running the ball, we ran it 12 times. And I'm talking about our running backs. We ran the ball 12 times for 34 yards. Eckler early on wasn't running the ball. He had eight runs, 8 carries for 17 yards. The previous week, the rookie of the week, Big Bad Bill, he only had 4 carries. I mean, Eckler wasn't getting it done, and they weren't giving it to somebody that is a quicker, that's a different style of running. I don't understand that. I think even with that being said, their coaches outcoached us, right? The game was still within reach at halftime, and I thought we're gonna make some adjustments. Last year we made a lot of good adjustments offensively, defensively, and I thought we would come back and, not saying we're going to win, but I thought we would make it a game. We would play a lot better in the second half, and we didn't. It was literally more of the same. It was like Green Bay said, we came out and did nothing, and Green Bay is like, well, we don't need to make any adjustments either because everything we're doing in the first half, we're just going to keep on doing it. There was no difference in the first half versus the second half. And then losing was bad enough, but we've lost a couple players for the season now as well. Eckler is out for the season, and I'm just going to go ahead and say that's his career at his age. And then we lost Wise. One of our what was expected to be our productive defensive end, to put pressure on the quarterback. We lost him early in the game, and Eckler was late in the game. So those two right there are going to have an effect for the next 15 games, and people are going to need to step up. Whether it's a coaching adjustment, whether it's the player stepping up. I was calling for more handoffs and more action from Bill. Well, we're going to get it now, right? Because Eckler's gone, and we'll see more of Chris Rodriguez and Bill carrying the rock.
Yeah, and then Jeremy McNichols.
Yes. Yeah. But I think for the most part, I think McNichols is going to be still, even though Rodriguez has been inactive. I think moving forward, most of the carries are going to go between Rodriguez and Bill.
So who do you think, big picture, I need you to think big picture now.
Okay.
Who's going to be more missed or the bigger impact in terms of a loss? Dietrich Wise or Austin Eckler?
Wise. I think there's a bigger drop off there. And I'm not trying to say that Eckler isn't a good player and what he brings to it, but I think what we've seen from Bill, he's still going to carry it and maybe a better spark than what Eckler was. That's why I wanted to see him more. And then Jeremy McNichol, in past years when Eckler's been hurt, he's done a good job on third down, picking up blitzes, doing kind of a lot of tools, not necessarily great at anything, but a lot of tools in his tool belt. So I think between Bill and Jeremy McNichol as being the 1-2 of the running and the receiving, you're going to get that. But I think you're going to get Rodriguez sharing some of the load from a running perspective.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm starting to second guess myself. Is it Jeremy McNichols or Jeremy Nichols? I think it's Nichols. Just to correct myself there. But either way, I'm gonna tell you what is most concerning for me after 2 games.
Okay.
Most concerning for me is the fact that the offense has looked out of sync now for 2 weeks in a row. It was okay in week 1 because the defense was pretty dominant and we was playing a Giants team that was not supposed to be very good. Then the inconsistency carried over to week 2 and we played a much better team. And then we saw what happened. We were really, truly never in that game except for when we kicked the ball off in the beginning of the first quarter. So I don't know what's happening. I don't know what the reason behind it. We heard all the things in the offseason that, year 2 in the system, everybody can kind of kick up. We're no longer teaching. We're now expanding on the offense. It didn't look like it.
Right.
Then you got guys like Noah Brown and Terry who missed practically all of training camp. But they said, hey, don't worry about that. These guys got banked reps. It's kind of like riding a bike. They spent a lot of time, had all the reps last year. We got plenty of time to get them into camp toward the end, get them ready for the season. Boy, it sure doesn't look like it. So I don't know what is happening, but I can tell you the offense doesn't look quite in sync, including Jake Daniels being off with accuracy. If we had played this way last season, I think we'd probably felt a little different about the game. Right. But coming off of a 12-win season, making it to the playoffs, 1 game short of Super Bowl, you're gonna have bad games. But I don't expect us to have played this way. You could, and it's unacceptable to me. I'm not crashing out. I understand it's just 1 game. But 1 game would turn into week 3, and then all of a sudden we're like, we still got a long season. People say, well, take it one game at a time. Okay, well, then let's take it one game at a time and let's talk about this game then.
Right.
If we're taking it one game at a time, then this game was terrible, right? Jake Daniels, 49 passing yards in the first half. Not a drive, but an entire half.
Right.
He finished with 200 yards passing altogether. So it's roughly 150 in the second half. Well, at that point, they was trying to throw themselves back in the game. But he got 200 yards on 42 pass attempts. That's an awful average. Terrible. This game wasn't all on him. But if we're going to give him the praise, we got to give him some of the criticism.
Yeah. And
defensively, let me say one more thing. And defensively, defensively, last week, our defense allowed the Giants 231 total yards for an entire game. I understand it's the New York Giants. But on Thursday night, Green Bay had 274 yards in the first half.
Oh, it was ugly.
In the first half, not for the game.
All right.
In the first half. Green Bay wound up with over 400 yards total offense. But they had more yards in the first half than they had allowed for the entire game against the New York Giants.
Right.
So again, in one hand, you tell me it's a long season, but then you take one game at a time. Well, then one game at a time, this was bad. It's bad, and not only is concerning. Do I think the season is over? Not even close. Do I think they'll get better and turn this thing around? I absolutely do. But we're talking about this game. And in this game, this was a bad, awful performance. And to your point, it was a team loss from top to bottom, coaches all the way down to the player. No idea what's going on in the locker room, but I will tell you it's bad, at least up to this point.
Yeah, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but yeah, things need to get changed up fast, and I think it starts. Honestly, I think it starts with Kingsbury. He needs to see what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, what adjustments they need to make, whether it's from a play call perspective. I mean, I wasn't thrilled with a play call against the Giants. We had some light discussions. I don't know that we talked about it on the podcast, but I wasn't thrilled with the overall play calling then. I will give you one nugget of positivity. Our scoring the first two games this year, and I granted it's the second year under Kingsbury. Last year we started out with about the same scoring on the first two games, and then the next 5 games we were over 30 points in 4 out of the next 5 games. I don't like the slow start. I'm not saying that all of a sudden it's going to shoot up, but maybe it's taking a time to get everybody to mesh. Maybe it's taking time for Kingsbury to say, I got these tools, but I thought I knew how to use them, but we need to make adjustments during the season. And that's not uncommon. The teams need to make adjustments during the season. Potentially all of a sudden this becomes Bill's breakout, right? Bill may be the next big thing from a running back perspective, but the team didn't have full confidence in a rookie. When you have Eckler there, he's a known commodity. He's done a great job for us. Now they don't have a choice, so they're going to give it to him and see what he can do. We'll see next week coming up the Raiders, but it's kind of some potential positive things that are coming up down the road with the young quick legs of Bill. And if they can get the running game going again, that's going to take pressure off of Jaden. This past game, because nothing was going right from a running perspective, from a passing perspective, they were just able to pin their ears back and say, Jaden, everything around you, you're not having a great game, and nobody around you is helping you. So we're just going to come after you. And that's exactly what they did.
Yes. And I don't disagree with any of that, Ken, but I'm not trying to give anybody a pass here, man. I can't do it.
No, nobody deserves it.
You mentioned about the games and the next 5 games. I was trying to figure out here who the 5 opponents were, because I compared the 5 opponents where the offense exploded to averaging over 30 points a game compared to the next 5 opponents we have this year. Because again, schedule matters.
Right.
The opponent matters. Right. We played some teams last year that just wasn't very good. We won games where offensively we were just kind of so, but we were able to hang on. And as we know, the word last year was resilient, right? We wouldn't lose. We were winning games we would normally lose. You know, the team wasn't quitting and all of those things. Well, that's we're not going to surprise anybody this year.
Right.
When we went to Green Bay, there was a reason we were on prime time, because not only was the nation expected this team to be better and to play better and to be good, so were the Packers. So they're not going to come out here and just kind of be half-stepping on this thing. They're coming out expecting that we were coming in to really bring it to them. And so they came and they brought it.
Right.
You know, as Dan Quinn said in his presser, you know, Green Bay's a hell of a team, but you know what? They got to play us too. Well, shit, they didn't scare nobody. If you play like that every week, you're not going to scare anybody.
Right.
You're not going to scare nobody. But again, I think I have no doubt that the mini bye that's took place with the 10 games between Thursday and our next game against the Raiders, this might have been a blessing in disguise, man. I think Dan Quinn was not happy. I like the fact that he's not going to come out and blast the team at his presser, but behind closed doors, I gotta believe, man, that this was a rude awakening in a good way this early in the season.
Right.
And so I expect that the week 3 game against the Raiders is going to look a little bit different. I'd bet money on it.
And you would hope so, because again, to piggyback, moving into the future here, potential positives, but I mean, you have to, when I say these potential positives, they have to follow through with it. Right. Washington has basically 9 or 10 days before their next game. Right. It is a home game. The Raiders are playing Monday night. So for them, it's a short week, and they're traveling all the way across country. So you still got to play everything on the field, but everything around it benefits Washington. You got a little bit more rest, for your bones, and also to analyze what you have to do. You're not watching the game film, twice. You're able to watch it 7 times, as well as the New York game, and figure out what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. And we'll see what happens, but I think they'll get it together. It's just, hopefully it's sooner than later.
It better be.
Yeah.
If not, it's going to be a long season.
Yeah. But we're going to talk about the Raiders game. We're going to follow up on another podcast and kind of go into depth of what the Raiders are doing right and what the Raiders are doing wrong, to where Washington could potentially take advantage of it and come out with a win next Sunday against I keep on wanting to say Oakland Raiders, but the Los Angeles Raiders.
Yeah. The who Raiders?
The losing Raiders is all I care about.
You said the Los Angeles Raiders?
That's why did I say Los Angeles, Las Vegas? See, I can't even get it right. Man, that's what happens. That's what happens when you switch cities all the time. Las Vegas, Los Angeles. I'm not wrong. They've been at all these places.
They have, sir. They currently reside in Las Vegas, but you get a pass, man. I get it. Just don't call it the St. Louis Cardinals.
Correct.
They're in Arizona now, so.
But I remember
some people might be listening to this and like, what?
Yeah, they don't even know the Cardinals were in St. Louis at one point, right?
You talking about the baseball team? No, sir, no, ma'am. The Arizona Cardinals used to be the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes.
And they were in the NFC East. They were part of our division. So, well, I'm going way back on it.
Man, you're old. Man, you are old, Reggie.
I am. See all that? Yeah. But anyway, man, so that was just it. Just kind of, again, a few days removed from this thing, able to kind of strip some of the emotion out of it, the raw emotion anyway, and just kind of give the thoughts on what we saw on Thursday night. And the expectation is that they'll regroup and they have a better showing on week 3 against the Las Vegas Raiders, and hopefully the tone of this podcast will be much different post game. So that's all I got, man. Unless you got something else, Ken, we can let everybody get back to the day. Appreciate everyone listening, tuning in. Until next time, peace out.
Peace out, knuckleheads.